The gleaming spires of New Singapore's arcology pierced the morning clouds, their solder-collecting surfaces shimmering like liquid gold in the dawn light. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her office window on the 157th floor of the Global Defense Council headquarters, watching as the city's morning traffic patterns formed in the sky lanes below. The quantum computer beneath her palm hummed softly as it processed the latest deep space sensor data. Director Chen. Her eye assistant's voice was calm but carried an unmistakable note of urgency. We've detected anomalous gravitational distortions at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Pattern matches theoretical predictions for faster-than-light travel. Sarah's heart rate quickened, but decades of training kept her outwardly composed. "Show me," she commanded, turning to face the holographic display that sprang to life in the center of her office. The visualization showed a massive object, nearly 4 kilometers long, materializing just beyond Pluto's orbit. Its design was clearly artificial, all sharp angles and geometric patterns that nature never produced. More concerning were the energy readings, which suggested weapon systems that could reduce planets to ash. "Contact the Security Council," Sarah ordered, already moving toward her private elevator. "And activate Protocol Omega," quietly. As she descended to the underground command center, Sarah reflected on the 2 decades of preparation that had led to this moment. While the public saw a world still taking its first tentative steps into space, with clumsy chemical rockets and basic orbital stations, the truth was far different. Hidden laboratories and manufacturing facilities across Earth and Mars had been producing technologies that would shock even their visitors. The command center was already bustling when she arrived. Holographic displays showed the alien vessel's approach, while other screens monitored the carefully orchestrated panic beginning to spread across social media. Everything had to look authentic. A primitive civilization facing its first contact with advanced alien life. "First transmission incoming," announced General Michael Okonjo, his dark features illuminated by the screens surrounding them. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The alien that appeared on the main screen was tall and serpentine, with iridescent scales and 4 arms. Its eyes were compound structures that reflected light like polished obsidian. When it spoke, its words were translated in real time by AI systems that had been preparing for this moment for years. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our dominion. Resistance would be unfortunate. You have 48 hours to surrender your governing authority." Sarah stepped forward, activating the return transmission. She had been chosen for this role carefully, her small stature and academic appearance perfectly feeding into the illusion of humanity's harmlessness. "This is Director Chen of the Global Defense Council. We request time to consult with our world's leaders. Surely there's room for peaceful dialogue." The alien commander's mouthparts shifted in what might have been amusement. "Your primitive weapons and limited space presence have been thoroughly analyzed. We offer integration to spare you unnecessary suffering. Remember, others have resisted. Their worlds now serve as asteroid fields." As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her staff. "Activate the panic protocols. I want every news network showing frightened populations, governments in chaos. Military forces should be mobilizing with outdated equipment. Make it convincing." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, quantum computers began warming up. In caverns under the Himalayas, automated factories accelerated production. On Mars, whole sections of the landscape shifted as hidden bases prepared for war. And in the asteroid belt, thousands of stealth platforms silently tracked the Kraxan vessel's every movement. "They're scanning us extensively," reported Dr. James Martinez, head of counterintelligence. "Our surface tech is reading exactly as planned. Nothing beyond early 21st century capabilities. The quantum shielding is holding." Sarah nodded, watching as more Kraxan ships began arriving. Their arrogance was palpable. Only 6 vessels to subjugate an entire planet. They hadn't even bothered to secure the outer system first. "They see exactly what we want them to see. How long until the defense grid is ready?" Quantum cores are at 97% charge. Nano-forged swarms are in position. Ghost Fleet is armed and awaiting orders, General Okonjo reported. We can have everything deployed in 6 hours. Good. Sarah studied the tactical display, already plotting out the coming battle. Let them think we're scrambling in terror. Let them think we're defenseless. She smiled thinly. They'll learn soon enough why humanity spent the last century preparing for this day. In orbit, the Kraxan ships moved into position, their weapons charging for what they assumed would be a brief demonstration of power. They never noticed the quantum field fluctuations around them, never detected the microscopic machines infiltrating their hull systems, never realized that every moment of their superiority was being carefully documented and analyzed by humanity's true defense systems. The trap was set. In less than 48 hours, the Kraxan Empire would learn a harsh lesson about judging civilizations by their apparent technology level. Humanity had spent thousands of years fighting itself, developing ways to hide strength and strike from unexpected angles. Now those lessons would serve them well. Sarah Chen looked at the countdown timer and allowed herself a moment of pity for the aliens above. We tried to warn them, she murmured. They really should have run. Just before the Kraxan deadline, their flagship launched what they intended as a demonstration strike, a plasma beam targeting an apparently empty stretch of the Australian outback. The beam never reached Earth's atmosphere. Quantum shield holding at 97% capacity, reported Dr. Martinez, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Their sensors are registering total confusion. They can't explain why their weapon disappeared. Sarah Chen watched the alien ship's frantic energy signatures with cold satisfaction. Time to show them why humanity never reveals its true capabilities. General Okonjo, you may proceed with Phase 1. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden arsenal awakened. The public had always wondered why the lunar far side remained so strictly off-limits. Now, as massive sections of the lunar surface split apart, that question was answered. Rising from underground hangars were ships that represented the true pinnacle of human engineering. Sleek vessels covered in light-absorbing metamaterials, their quantum cores pulsing with barely contained power. Ghost Fleet launching from Luna Base, General Okonjo announced. Mars Defense Force reports ready. Titan Base activating nanoswarm defenses. On the main screen, Supreme Commander Zixtel's face appeared, compound eyes reflecting a mix of confusion and growing concern. What deception is this? Our scans showed no such capabilities. Perhaps, Sarah replied calmly, you should have wondered why a species that spent millennia perfecting the art of war chose to appear so vulnerable. We tried to warn you, Commander. Everything you've seen until now has been carefully crafted theater. The first wave of Earth's defense caught the Kraxan completely unprepared. Quantum tunneling torpedoes bypassed their shields entirely, materializing inside their engine rooms. Nanoswarms that had infiltrated their hulls during the initial scanning period activated, disrupting crucial systems. And from the dark side of Mars, electromagnetic pulse cannons fired streams of exotic particles that turned their advanced targeting systems against them. 3 enemy vessels critically damaged, reported Colonel Maya Patel from her command post on Phobos. Their weapon systems are targeting phantom images projected by our quantum field manipulators. They literally can't tell what's real anymore. Sarah watched as the Kraxan ships began firing wildly, their supposedly superior technology proving useless against defenses they couldn't understand. Humanity had spent decades studying recovered alien artifacts, but instead of copying their technology, Earth's scientists had developed entirely different approaches. While the galaxy focused on energy shields and plasma weapons, humanity had perfected quantum manipulation and nanotechnology. Director, Dr. Martinez's voice carried an edge of urgency. We're detecting energy buildups in the remaining ships. They appear to be preparing for some kind of desperate measure. They're going to try to crack the planet. General Okonjo confirmed, studying the readings. Standard Imperial tactic when they're losing. Threatens civilian populations to force compliance. Sarah's expression hardened. Activate the Lazarus Protocol. Throughout Earth's orbit, thousands of satellites suddenly shed their civilian disguises. Communications arrays transformed into weapon platforms. Weather monitoring stations revealed themselves as tactical coordination nodes. Even the orbital debris that other species had mocked humans for not cleaning up turned out to be carefully positioned components of a massive defense network. The Kraxan ships found themselves caught in a web of intersecting fields and forces. Their attempt to power up planet-killing weapons failed as quantum interference disrupted their energy distribution systems. Nanoswarms had already compromised their backup systems, leaving them effectively powerless. Your empire isn't the first to develop planet-killing weapons, Commander, Sarah transmitted. But we may be the first to perfect planet-saving ones. Stand down, or the next phase will demonstrate why merely hiding our technology was actually an act of mercy. On the tactical display, dozens of previously invisible human vessels cloaked around the Kraxan ships. Each one carried weapons specifically designed to counter Imperial technology, the result of centuries of preparing for this exact scenario. Supreme Commander Zixtal's next transmission showed an alien experiencing something entirely new. Fear. Impossible. You were primitive. We saw your rockets, your simple stations. You saw what we wanted you to see. Sarah corrected. Your empire isn't the first to underestimate humanity, though you may be the last to make that mistake. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are useless. And now you face a choice. Retreat and warn your empire about us, or discover exactly how creative humans can be when truly threatened. The command center fell silent as they waited for the Kraxan response. Sarah knew this moment would reshape galactic politics forever. Humanity had hidden its true capabilities for generations, letting other species dismiss Earth as a backwater world barely worth noticing. That deception had bought them time to prepare, to develop technologies that approached the fundamental limits of physics itself. This isn't over, Zixtal snarled, though his ships were already beginning a retreat. The Empire will return in force. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. We're counting on it, Commander. In fact, we're already in your systems. By the time you reach your closest base, you'll find things have changed considerably. We warned you to run. Your mistake was not running far enough. As the damaged Kraxan ships flowed into faster-than-light travel, Sarah turned to her staff. Begin Phase 2. It's time to take the fight to them. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was more than ready. They had spent centuries preparing not just weapons and defenses, but strategies that would shake the foundations of an empire that had grown fat and arrogant on easy conquests. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth's history was written in blood, and why its future would be written in stars. 3 days after the Kraxan retreat, Sarah Chen stood aboard the UES Archimedes, Earth's most advanced stealth carrier, as it prepared to execute humanity's first interstellar military operation. The bridge was eerily quiet, its quantum computing systems requiring minimal human intervention. Ghost Fleet reports all ships in position, announced Captain Diana Torres, her holographic avatar shimmering beside Sarah. As an a-human hybrid consciousness, Torres represented another carefully hidden aspect of Earth's capabilities. The Kraxan don't realize we've been following them through quantum wake signatures. They didn't even know they were leaving. Sarah nodded, studying the tactical display showing their target. The Kraxan's primary forward base in the Centauri sector. Status of the infiltration protocols. The nanoswarms we planted on their retreating ships have already compromised 60% of their base systems, Torres reported with a hint of satisfaction. They still haven't detected them. Quantum entanglement network is established and stable. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. While the Kraxan rushed to gather a massive fleet to punish Earth, humanity would demonstrate why quantity meant little against sufficiently advanced technology. Each retreating Kraxan ship had unknowingly carried millions of microscopic machines, all networked through quantum entanglement communications that were impossible to detect or block. Multiple Kraxan dreadnoughts detected entering the system. General Okonjo reported from his command post back on Earth, counting at least 30 capital ships. They're preparing for a major assault. Perfect. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They're following the exact response pattern we predicted. Captain Torres, you may proceed with Phase 3. Throughout the Centauri sector, humanity's hidden fleet decloaked. But these weren't conventional warships. They were carriers for swarms of autonomous combat drones, each smaller than a human hand, yet powered by quantum cores that could destabilize matter itself. The Kraxan responded exactly as expected, launching fighters and charging weapon systems. Their sensors, designed to track large energy signatures and solid objects, were practically blind to Earth's microscopic warriors. Nanoswarm penetrating their hull defenses, Torres reported. Quantum field disruptors engaging. Their shields are, yes, complete cascade failure across all capital ships. They've lost primary power. On the tactical display, Sarah watched as the mighty Kraxan fleet suddenly found itself fighting an enemy they couldn't even see. Drone swarms slipped through their defensive screens, targeting crucial systems with surgical precision. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being systematically dismantled by machines smaller than dust. Director, Dr. Martinez's voice came through the quantum comm. We're detecting interesting data in their computer cores. It seems the Kraxan Empire isn't as stable as they pretend. Multiple subject worlds are on the verge of rebellion. Download everything, Sarah ordered. And make sure our quantum virus spreads through their entire network. I want their communications infrastructure compromised before they even realize they're being hacked. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The Kraxan fleet hung powerless in space, their crews trapped aboard ships that no longer responded to commands. But humanity wasn't interested in destruction. They had a far more elegant solution in mind. Open a channel to their command ship, Sarah ordered. When Supreme Commander Zixtal's face appeared, she noted with satisfaction how his compound eyes had lost their arrogant gleam. I believe it's time we had a real discussion about the future of your empire. What? What are you? Zixtal's translator struggled to convey his mix of fear and awe. We are humanity, Sarah replied simply. A species that spent its entire history preparing for war while praying for peace. You assumed our visible technology represented our limits. Instead, it was merely the tip of an iceberg we chose to keep hidden. She gestured, and holographic displays showed the true extent of Earth's reach. Quantum communications networks already spanning half the galaxy, stealth observation posts near every major Kraxan world, and most devastatingly, proof that humanity had compromised their entire military network. Your empire stands on the brink of collapse, Sarah continued. We could destroy it entirely, but that's not our way. Instead, we offer a choice. Work with us to transform the empire into something better, or watch as we provide your subject worlds with the means to free themselves. Through quantum entanglement communications, similar messages were being delivered to every Kraxan world. The empire that had thought itself invincible was facing an enemy that had already won before the first shot was fired. You think you can reshape centuries of imperial rule? Zixtal challenged, though his voice lacked conviction. Sarah's smile was both warm and terrifying. Commander, your empire conquered through brute force and obvious weapons. We achieved more in 3 days using technology you can't even detect. The galaxy is changing. You can change with it, or be left behind. As the Kraxan commander contemplated humanity's offer, Sarah turned to Captain Torres. Begin Phase 4. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't just excel at war. We're even better at building peace. The quantum cores of Earth's ships pulsed with power as they prepared to reshape the political landscape of an entire galaxy. Humanity had hidden its strength for generations, but now that strength would be used not just to fight, but to forge something entirely new. Inside the ornate halls of the Kraxan Imperial Palace on their homeworld Zixtal Prime, chaos reigned. Sarah Chen walked calmly through the panicked crowds of alien bureaucrats and nobles, her quantum-enhanced bodyguards invisibly clearing her path. Behind her, holographic displays showed the full extent of humanity's infiltration. Every security system, every military network, every secret communication had been compromised. Status report from the outer systems. Captain Torres' avatar materialized beside her. 17 formerly subjugated species have already declared independence using our quantum communication protocols. The Empire's response fleets are still dead in space, their systems locked by our nanoswarms. Sarah nodded, making her way toward the Imperial Council chambers and the population centers, responding exactly as predicted. Once we revealed the Empire's internal corruption and resource hoarding, the public riots began. Our medical nanotech is keeping violence to a minimum. Angry, but no fatalities. They had reached the massive doors of the council chamber, where the Empire's highest leaders were attempting to maintain some semblance of control. Sarah paused, touching the quantum computer embedded in her wrist. Time to show them the final phase. The doors swung open, revealing a scene of barely contained pandemonium. Dozens of Craxan council members argued frantically while emergency reports flooded their screens. At the center, the Imperial Patriarch himself, a massive specimen of his species, decorated with bioluminescent patterns denoting his supreme rank, attempted to maintain order. "Ah," Sarah's voice cut through the chaos. "I believe you're discussing us." The chamber fell silent as every alien eye turned to the small human woman who had just walked into the heart of their empire. Guards moved to intercept her, but their weapons refused to fire. Like everything else in the palace, they had been compromised long ago. "How dare you invade this sacred chamber?" the Patriarch boomed, his translator struggling with his rage. "We will." "You will listen," Sarah interrupted calmly. Above her, the chamber's holographic systems activated, displaying a real-time map of the crumbling empire. "Your civilization stands at a crossroads. The next few minutes will determine whether the Craxan become partners in a new galactic order or a cautionary tale in history books." She gestured, and new images appeared. Detailed plans for economic reformation, technological sharing programs, democratic systems adapted for Craxan biology and culture. "We've spent years designing this transition. Your empire doesn't have to end. It can evolve." "You expect us to surrender to barbarians?" one council member challenged. "To primitives who only recently achieved spaceflight?" Sarah's laugh was genuine. "That deception served its purpose, but surely you understand by now. Look around you. We're standing in your most secure facility after bypassing every defense you had. Your entire military is paralyzed. Your communications run through our networks. We could have destroyed you at any time." The Imperial Patriarch's bioluminescence patterns shifted to show confusion. "Then why? Why offer change instead of conquest?" "Because humanity learned something in its long history of warfare," Sarah explained. "True victory isn't about destruction. It's about transformation." She waved her hand, and more displays activated, showing the quantum technology humanity was offering to share. "Your empire was built on fear. We're offering you a chance to build something on hope instead." Captain Torres's avatar flickered. "Director, we're detecting quantum fluctuations in the outer system. It seems some of their hidden fleet elements are attempting to break our control protocols." Sarah smiled. "Expected and planned for. Activate the secondary swarms." Across Craxan space, vessels that had thought themselves safely hidden suddenly found their quantum signatures being disrupted by technology they couldn't even detect. The last vestiges of military resistance dissolved before they could even begin. "Very well." The Patriarch's patterns now showed resignation mixed with curiosity. "Speak of this new order you propose." For the next hour, Sarah laid out humanity's vision. A galactic federation where technology and resources would be shared, where advancement would come through cooperation rather than conquest. The Craxan would maintain their territory, but as administrators rather than conquerors, their experience at managing vast regions of space becoming an asset rather than a threat. And if we refuse? One council member asked. Sarah's expression remained neutral. Then we distribute our quantum technology to every species in the galaxy, and you spend the next century watching your former subjects surpass you in every way. We prefer cooperation, but we've planned for every contingency. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but Sarah could see in their patterns that the decision was already made. The Kraxan were pragmatic enough to recognize when they were outmaneuvered, and intelligent enough to see the advantages of the new system being offered. As the council began the formal process of accepting Earth's terms, Sarah received a private message from General Okanjo. Phase 5 is ready. The galaxy is about to change forever. 1 year after humanity's revelation to the galaxy, Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive structure orbiting the neutral point between Earth and Zixfel Prime. Below her, representatives from over 300 species gathered for the first galactic conquest. Final delegation arriving from the Proxima colonies. Captain Torres reported, her avatar now displaying a more complex pattern indicating her new role as liaison between organic and artificial intelligences. The quantum network is stable and broadcasting to every inhabited world in known space. Sarah watched as the last ships docked, vessels of entirely new design, combining humanity's quantum technology with the best innovations from dozens of species. It was amazing how quickly the galaxy had transformed once the walls of secrecy and fear had fallen. To think, General Okanjo mused, standing beside her. A year ago, most of these species had never heard of Earth. Now they're here to ratify a constitution we helped write. They're here because we showed them a better way. Sarah corrected, not through conquest, but through possibility. The transformation of the Kraxan Empire had been just the beginning. As promised, humanity had shared its quantum technology, not all at once, but in carefully measured stages that allowed societies to adapt. The result had been an explosion of innovation as different species combined their unique perspectives with new capabilities. Director, Dr. Martinez's voice came through her quantum link. We're detecting unusual activity in the unexplored regions beyond the former empire. It seems our little demonstration attracted attention. Sarah nodded. They'd expected this. Humanity's emergence and the subsequent reformation of the Kraxan Empire had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Other interstellar powers would naturally be interested or concerned. Show me, she commanded. The quantum display revealed massive energy signatures at the edge of known space, ships and structures far larger than anything the Kraxan had possessed. The Nexus Collective, Captain Torres identified. A confederation of ancient species we've been monitoring for decades. It seems they've decided to make contact. Sarah smiled. This too had been part of the plan. Humanity hadn't just prepared for the Kraxan. They had prepared for everything that would come after. The quantum computers were already analyzing the collective's technology, while nanoswarms, seeded during the initial chaos of the Empire's transformation, had spread far beyond their original targets. Send them an invitation to the conquest, Sarah decided. Let's show them what a united galaxy looks like. Below, the assembly hall had filled. Former enemies sat side by side, their differences overshadowed by the possibilities of cooperation. The Kraxan, their warrior culture transformed but not destroyed, had become enthusiastic architects of the new order. Their experience in administration, combined with human innovation and the diverse strengths of other species, was creating something unprecedented. You know they'll test us, Okanjo warned, referring to the approaching collective. They'll want to know if we're really as capable as the stories suggest. Sarah's expression remained serene. Let them test. Humanity spent thousands of years preparing for any possibility. But more importantly, we're not alone anymore. As if to emphasize her point, a demonstration of new technology began in the chamber below. A Kraxan scientist, working alongside human quantum engineers and artificial intelligences from 3 different species, activated a device that created a stable micro-universe, a power source that could sustain civilizations for millennia. The conquest is ready to begin, Director, Torres announced. Sarah took one last look at the assembled species, former enemies and slaves of the Empire, now partners in something greater. Humanity had emerged from hiding not to conquer, but to catalyze. They had turned potential destroyers into allies, transformed an empire of fear into a network of cooperation. "Send word to Earth," she instructed. "Tell them their children's children will inherit not just one world, but a galaxy of possibilities." As she descended to the chamber floor, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had hidden its strength for generations, letting the galaxy think them primitive while they prepared for every possibility. But their greatest achievement hadn't been in the weapons they'd developed or the enemies they'd defeated. Their triumph was in showing the galaxy that there was another way, that strength could be used to build rather than destroy, that the species who had spent millennia fighting amongst themselves had learned the greatest lesson of all. True power lies not in the ability to win wars, but in the wisdom to forge peace. The Concordat began, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history. And far beyond known space, the Nexus Collective approached, unaware that they too were about to learn why humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to turn enemies into friends. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had not just survived its emergence onto the galactic stage, it had transformed it. And this was only the beginning. The end.